Plum Island, Operation Paperclip, and Lyme disease. We've done so much investigation through the ticks, the research that Dr. Traub did in Plum Island, okay, and this is what this is all about. We're going to talk about where it came from, what our government can do or what our government hasn't done, and we're going to talk to the family, okay, the Portlock family, a family right here in Brevard County, our own citizens right here that are affected with this, and why the government and the insurance companies won't do anything about it. In the 1970s, Lyme disease spread throughout the United States. Okay, it started in Plum Island. They even had the Texas ticks. Okay, I don't know how they've got to New York to spread through there, but they've got there. I don't know if it was through animals, birds, or maybe even Plum Island, the scientists themselves. The possibility of Lyme disease may have spread as a result of experimentation of biological warfare through the Department of Agriculture and doubled as an Army research faculty. Okay. Plum Island appears to have been the site of experiments with disease-infected ticks conducted by the Nazi scientists back in the 1950s. Now, one of the Nazi scientists, Dr. Erich Traub, okay, worked in Germany. Okay, he worked in Germany as a scientist out there on biological warfare. He worked in Russia and the United States, brought him over here to work with us at Plum Island. This is where we believe that the biological warfare of Lyme disease came from. Trump was also listed in the 1930s in Camp Siegfried, just 30 miles outside of Plum Island. Okay, Trump spent the pre-war period of the scientific career on the fellowship of Rockefeller Institute in Princeton, New Jersey, perfecting the skills of viruses, okay, and bacteria under American experts before returning to Nazi Germany. It's really interesting that the Third Reich's biological warfare program had a cover name of Cancer Research Program, okay? And we look at the National Cancer Institute's Special Viral Cancer Research Program, and the evidence suggested that the project was basically a front for the continuation of experimentation on biological warfare. Normally under the jurisdiction of the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, Plum Island was used for military biological warfare research on animal diseases. It was involved with Fort Detrick, the Army's top chemical and biological warfare faculty. Just months into this paperclip contract, okay, the German warriors of Fort Detrick, the Americans' biological warfare headquarters in Frederick, Maryland, and the CIA operatives, okay, invited Traub in for a talk. This is where it started. Erich Traub's work on behalf of the U.S. and the spread of Lyme disease concerned the work of a former Justice Department, John Loftus. Okay, John Loftus came out with a book. It's called The Berriest Secret. He referred to the work done on Plum Island in the early 1950s and the Nazi scientists that were doing it for him. Old spies reached out to this guy and about the publication of his book and basically demanded, under pressure, that he post this book to our government before coming out, and they even made him negotiate what he had written in there because of the secrecy, and they just basically made him rewrite the book to the way that our government wanted it to be seen. Okay, the manuscript was sent to the government, and they basically censored portions to protect national security. The push to employ Traub as the director of Plum Island involved professional recommendations that omitted his work from the Nazis, what he had done for them. The letters supported Traub to lead Plum Island, okay, to start him out there. Basically, he has had a long and productive experience in pre-war and post-war in Germany, and basically William Hagen, the dean of Cornell University, a veterinary school, carefully dispensed with his wartime activities, and basically the final word came from an American friend, the old Rockefeller Institute, Richard Shope. Okay, this is what brought him into our country. Okay, who described Traub as a careful, skilled, productive, and very original with one of the most world's outstanding biological warfare specialists. Okay, basically during the war he was in Germany and he served in the German army, and then we brought him back. Traub, basically there's a lot of evidence that he was involved with biological warfare and research in Plum Island with ticks and the spreading of the disease and the spreading of the ticks across our country. One of the most interesting agencies, the USDA, which admitted setting up large plots of land throughout our Midwest for airborne drop of germ spray, And just to check this out, Fort Detrick Special Operations Division ran tests in which operatives walked around Washington, D.C. and San Francisco, okay, with suitcases holding a bacteria recommended by Fort Detrick, okay. Tiny perforations allowed the germs release so they could trace and the flow of the germs through airports and bus terminals right here in our own country. Okay, right after that, 11 men and women were checked into the local hospital with never seen before diseases, and one actually died from it. One patient died decades later when the germ tests were disclosed. The Army denied responsibility. In reference to the book, The Belarus Secret, Loftus laid out a striking piece of information. Okay, basically, and even more disturbing than that, he showed the records of Nazi germ warfare scientists that came to America. They experimented with poison ticks, and the planes, they actually would load these planes up with these ticks and spread them over different areas of our country. It happened right here in our country, even in our subways. Now you got to check this out. Steve Nostrom, an early Lyme disease victim, read this Loftus's book, okay, and it began to make him think about what was going on, okay, where all this came from. Somebody gave Steve a copy of John Loftus' The Belarus Secret as one of the support group meetings. I mean, they even had support groups, so we knew that Lyme disease was out there, okay? He long suspected that Plum Island played a role in the evolution of Lyme disease given the nature of the business and its proximity to Old Lyme, Connecticut, which is where the first cases came from, Old Lyme, Connecticut, okay? But he never basically publicly voiced his opinion. He didn't want to fear, he had a loss of credibility if our government stood in there and made him change things. Hard facts and statistics earned him a reputation as a leader in the Lyme disease field, but now in the hands, he had a book written by a Justice Department attorney who not only appeared on 60 Minutes, okay, but he brought down the Secretary General of the United Nations. Nostrom disclosed the possibility that Plum-Lyme connection on his own television show, and basically Carl Grossman invited him on as a news reporter to help explore the possibilities in the light of the island's biological mishaps, okay? We screwed up. In October 1995, Nostrom, fresh off of nursing duty, having earned an RN degree, okay, to help Lyme disease patients, rushed to a rare public meeting held by the USDA. I don't understand. The USDA is back in it again. In a nurse's coat, stethoscope around his neck, basically, he even had a copy of The Belarus Secret in his hand. The USDA basically shut him down. I don't know whether all this is true, but if it is true about Lyme disease, there's got to be an investigation. Even a former employee of Plum Island in the 1950s had a recollection of the Nazi scientists releasing ticks outdoors on Plum Island, okay? A source who was on Plum Island in 1950 recalls that the animal handlers and the scientists released ticks outdoors on the island all the time. So it wasn't just a one shot. Okay, they were experimenting. They released them. The birds that land on the island and come to our, and regardless of if we spread the disease on purpose or not, we were responsible for that. We're responsible for the people that were infected with this, okay? And that's what we're going to be talking about when we talk to the Portlock family. You're going to get an idea of exactly what could happen to you. With the allegation of the discovery of the bacteria, okay, in the late 1940s, this basically proved that Trump's arrival on the island. The broadcast sets forth the denials by the USDA spokesperson that there was no bacteria warfare, biological warfare, Plum Island linked to the spread of Lyme disease, which is BS. Basically, the author of the book, okay, states that the deer would swim from like Connecticut over to Plum Island. The birds came through. They can't really prove that our government spread this disease, although they have recollection of them spreading in different plots out in the Midwest, okay? And the idea of the germ warfare scientists setting up and going into the subways and the airports out of New York City to release these chemicals and just to trace them, and then somebody to die on top of them. And then during all that period, now they're saying, no, Plum Island had nothing to do with Lyme disease. Had no idea. They're not admitting anything when it comes to the infecting these ticks, okay? Whether they came from the island on purpose or whether they came off the island by accident. Our government is saying no, it didn't happen. Not only did we experiment with deer ticks, okay, but the Lone Star tick, native of Texas, okay, we were doing work with that. Local point of the experimentation on Plum Island of the 1970s, okay? The Lone Star tick, like Lyme disease, basically is spread now through New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York. Basically files that were overlooked from before of an investigation by the office of former Long Island Congressman Thomas Downey basically sheds a new light, okay, on a connection with Lyme disease. The USDA 1978 internal research document titled American Swine Fever notes that in 1975 and in 1976, okay, we experimented with hard ticks, the ticks from Texas, and the deer ticks, okay? Basically, in layman's term, Plum Island was experimenting with Lone Star ticks, Cheyenne ticks, and feeding them viruses and testing them on people, okay? The Lone Star tick, named after the white star on the back of the female, is a hard tick, along with his cousin, the deer tick. That's what puts these together, okay? Today, however, this epidemic is in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia. It's been reported all over our country, even outside of our country. We're going to talk to the Portlock family. I want you to listen to what's happening, to what's going on right here with the family that's infected with the Lyme disease, what's happened to them, what they're losing, what they've lost, how much it's cost them, the whole bit, okay? And then we're going to come back and I'm going to tell you what you can do about it. With RSPN Sports Network, according to Wayne. You guys hear me every Saturday morning. We're talking about NASCAR, we talk about fishing, we do all kinds of great things. We even chase flies around when we need to, but you know, like this one, he's really getting on my nerves. But now we're at First Baptist Church of Malabar. We're out here with Sandra Portlock, and our subject is Lyme disease, okay? Where it comes from, what do we got to do to get the treatment, what do we got to do to change things, okay? Sandra, thanks for having RSPN Sports, according to Wayne, out here with us. Tell us what's going on. I see all of this medicine. There's no possible way any human being can be taking all this medicine every day.
I do. I've got things labeled sometimes to help me, but it's been definitely a process.
How many pills do you think you take a day? I mean, really? No, I'm going to rephrase that. How much money do you spend a day on taking medicine? Because we've already covered a lot of issues about the insurance and all that. How much money a day do you spend on medicine?
Well, daily is hard to break it down. I could break it down and tell you that this one box of pills is 5 pills was $239. These here are probably about $500, I think. These here I was actually able to get a prescription assistance plan to help us out with these, but if not, these are $500.
Now, who pays for these?
We've been paying it out of our pocket.
Because of the insurance?
Right, we have no insurance.
The IDSA?
Yes.
Okay, their guidelines. Tell us about the guidelines. We know that they just had a march in Boston.
Yep.
Okay, and I think you were telling me over 1 million people involved with this march, or real close to it, on a nationwide basis.
Well, not quite. The one they just had in Boston, I think there were about 70 to 100 people, Lyme people that are suffering with Lyme disease, came out to do the protest when they were doing across the street from where they were doing an IDSA annual meeting.
You're going to hear me say this a lot, okay? If you guys, we want you to contribute, we want you to help. The biggest thing is go to www.giveforward.com/Portlock family with Lyme disease. Go out there, help this family out. Let's go back. What do we do? We're going to be interviewing probably the next 3 or 4 days to get through here. But most common questions, okay, I hear, what is Lyme disease and how do I get it? All right, what are the symptoms, okay? Why do the patients have trouble getting diagnosed and treated? That's where I want to hit with you right now. I mean, these doctors, they go to school for 4 years, then they go for another 4 years, then they have these insurance companies that back them. They're backed by the government. They're basically insured by our government. Why can't they find out what the problem is? How many years have you been going through this, and how long has it taken you to be diagnosed with it? And now what are they doing about it?
4 years. And it took me 1.5 years to get diagnosed. And that was the only reason I got diagnosed was because I had a friend that had been through it and told me about Lyme disease, because I had already been to every doctor out there possible trying to figure out where my symptoms were coming from, and I demanded for a test, a Western blot Lyme test, and it came back positive. I was surprised, but it did. And then I recourse back to 2 years prior to that. We had been in Tennessee and we had ticks on us. But I didn't know a lot about Lyme disease when, back then when we first, were bitten by ticks. So it took 2 years of it working through my system, being diagnosed as having fibromyalgia. And then when I got even worse, they didn't know what it was. They wanted to say it was MS or lupus or some other kind of autoimmune disease. And then they just didn't know. So they tossed me from one doctor to another until I finally asked to be tested for Lyme. And then I knew what it was. That was just 50% of the battle. Then the really hard work came in.
Well, you know what it gets me? Jesse Ventura, the conspiracy theory.
Yes.
Okay, could Lyme disease be a result of our government? Okay, they're coming out with that. Basically researching on biological warfare and biological weapons. Research lab performing biological testing in Plum Island, New York. Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, NWA wrestling champion, actor, Navy SEAL vet. True TV's The New Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. Now he comes out with the second season of interviewing and finding out the real story behind Plum Island, New York. Okay, in your mind, was this a government
Well, when you
screw up?
when you look on Google Earth and you see where Lyme, Connecticut is, where Lyme started in 1970s, and then you go across the waterway and you see right there is Plum Island, where they say that this germ warfare
Right outside of Long Island.
Right on, yep.
Long Island Sound.
Yep, off of Long Island Sound.
What gets me is I fish out there. Now I'm weird about fishing. Well, I'm about fixing it. But you guys, we're going to take a small break. But the Greater Hartford Lyme Disease Support and Action Group, you can go to ctlyme-disease.org, get the information. But the biggest thing is check us out and give them that email address that you can send them to. No, you know what? I'm going to do it. www.giveforward.com/Portlock Family with Lyme Disease. You guys help us out. Give us a call. Give me a call. 321-216-0003. Put your hand out there. Help these people. You stand with them because I'm standing with them. This is ridiculous. These people take this medicine every day for a treatment that they don't even know what they're being treated by. Look at these things. More pills, in the thousands of dollars, okay? This is what gets me. Look at this bag of medicine, and there's nobody going to stand for them, okay? You guys, you got to help us out. Get a hold of your congressman, whoever you need to. You can give me a call, like I said, again, 321-216-0003. You don't have to buy all this medicine to be treated, but you got to help. Look at this paperwork that they have to file on all this, and it really hasn't come down to, and this hasn't proven anything, has it?
No.
And I mean, paperwork, look at the files, boxes of files, boxes of medicine, the whole bit. What is it going to take? We're back outside now, and what a great church, First Baptist Church of Malabar. I'm glad you guys invited me down here. But to get back, inside we were talking about all the different medicines, and I mean, I've seen boxes and boxes and boxes of medicines. When do you find time to go to a doctor, get the prescriptions, do all this, find the help to pay for prescriptions? They've got to be outstanding as far as cost goes.
Well, they definitely are. It's hard to find the time. I'm at the point now just have lost all motivation to really do much of anything as far as keeping on sequence, with taking the pills and medications that I need to. A lot of them are supplements, antibiotics, just different protocols. Trying to make decisions is very difficult. Getting to doctors is very difficult because my husband has to take the whole day off in order for us to go all the way to the West Coast from the East Coast. There's no local doctors that really know a whole lot about treating Lyme disease or anything about treating Lyme disease, to be very specific. I've been lucky. I do have a holistic doctor that helps me from time to time on more of a holistic level. But if for hardcore medicines like antibiotics and IVs that I'm supposed to have started a month ago, But then, you know, we were going through the treatments, the hyperbarics, and we got squashed there. 13 treatments and the 40 treatments that stopped. So I ended up getting a lot worse, and now I'm starting to come back up scale a little bit, where I can start to have some more mental function and try to get things lined up where we need to go.
We talked about the changes with IDSA. Okay, the guidelines, the changes. They just had a big walk in Boston.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
they had the walk the year before.
Yes.
Okay, I know that just happened just a couple weeks ago as far as the protest for the guideline change with IDSA. Okay, but what's the IDSA doing for you now? Are they doing nothing? I mean, there's no insurance like we talked. I've seen all the medicine. It's got to be in the thousands of dollars worth of medicine.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been fighting this for 3 years.
4.
Okay, what's next?
Next is, well, this coming Monday, we would have been going over to the West Coast because both Jeremiah and I have a follow-up doctor's appointment, but a lab didn't follow through with their end. We have probably about $1,000 of labs that Jeremiah is going to have done to see where he stands with the Lyme disease. But we had to cancel our appointment because the labs didn't have their ducks in a row and they weren't able to do the testing. So it'll be another month before I can see a doctor.
But it sounds like these doctors have no idea.
They don't.
It sounds like these guys, and there's not, I don't think it's stupidity. I don't think it's an ignorance. I think that their hands are tied. All right, Sandra, we were talking a minute ago about what you've been through. We've seen the medicine. We know that the guidelines have to be changed. I'm waiting for the results out of Boston. I'd love to see what the IDSA is actually going to do about this. And I know it doesn't happen overnight. You've been fighting it forever.
Yeah.
Okay, but what's next?
What's next is we just keep being our own advocate and, you know, going to the doctor that we're, you know, blessed to have, that he, you know, is willing to treat us. And hopefully he doesn't close his doors because, you know, there are doctors that have lost their licenses, suspended their license, had to close their doors, and thousands of patients, you know, have nowhere else to turn once they lose their doctor because the IDSA is hounding them and saying they're, you know, over-treating and mistreating people, that they're curing people.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to stop and take a break here. But if you guys want to give, okay, they need your help. www.giveforward.com/Portlock family with Lyme disease. And we're going to take a break, so don't you guys go away. Okay, Lyme disease, the most common vector-borne disease in America. 38,468 in 2009. Okay, and they still haven't figured out what the problem is. I mean, that's a lot of people. They're expecting 460,000 people, okay, to be infected by a disease that they're not even really sure where it come from. They've got their ideas. Basically, when it first started coming out, from the reports that I've got, the New England states, big. Now it's all over the United States.
Yes,
it's right here in our own hometown. It's right here in Florida.
It's out of the country. It's in Europe.
They say only 35 to 59% of the Lyme patients present with what they call bullseye rash. Now, what is a bullseye rash?
It's basically a circular rash. Some people will get like where it looks like an actual, you know, where you play darts, like a bullseye. But that's less than 35% of the people that get infected with the disease that'll even get any kind of a rash. I did have a rash. It wasn't a typical bullseye rash. It was more like a poison ivy rash almost. But a dermatologist did a skin biopsy on it, and it showed on the records that it was from some type of a bug bite. And to me, you know, that was even overlooked. They didn't even say this could possibly be a tick that you got bitten by, and this is what's causing all your symptoms.
But basically, that's where it comes from. It comes from a tick.
Most
Bacteria
definitely.
infection,
Yes.
it comes from a tick.
Comes from a tick. Little old, looks like a piece of pepper. So small.
To the other, not only attacks one area, but it attacks basically every organ that you've got in your body, right on up to your brain.
Up to your brain, yes. Where you, like it's an encephalitis.
Now, once it gets that far, what's next?
If you're lucky enough to get a doctor to treat you aggressively, you know, you might have some quality life once you get through the treatments, but, you know, everything's... a puzzle.
The symptoms of a headache, of fatigue, muscle pain. During the videos that I've seen a young lady there. She looked great. She looked, I mean, beautiful woman.
Yes.
And then within 6 to 8 months to be down in a bed, not even be able to hold a glass of water.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's got to hit like that. It's almost like it's arthritis, like like arthritis.
I get that. Yeah. Every once in a while, my hands will. I can feel it in here. I don't get as clenched up as the young girl did, Mandy, but I know where it can get to that point.
You were saying a minute ago during basically this is the highly charged medical debate, okay, and I'm reading from the information that I got right now, but basically long-term antibiotics, okay, is that working? You've been on those for a while. You spent a ton of money on that. Is that what's going to take to get rid of this, or?
I don't know the answer to that other than, just keep trying and, more than likely I'm supposed to have been on IV antibiotics a month ago, but we, chose to go the hyperbaric treatments because I felt that had worked for me at the time. And, with him stopping my treatment, so I don't have any other choice either to find another hyperbaric facility and continue treatments or go on IVs for a month.
Well, the treatment's okay. Now I got to understand this because I really don't get it. Okay, I know the insurance companies out there having a hard time. I dealt with them out for treatment.
Yeah.
Okay, but the insurance companies on this medical issue. My problem with this is it doesn't seem like they're doing anything to step up to the plate except for taking money. They're not.
They cancel people's policies.
And
yes,
which basically ruins it. Now, what happens? You go to the hospital, you get treated. They come out and they say, "Okay, you've got Lyme disease. Can you pay for treatment?" "Oh, no, I can't pay for treatment," and this and that. Well, what do I do? What do they tell them?
Oh gosh. You just come up with the money somehow. I mean, if you got to sell something or if your house goes bankrupt, you don't make payments on your house to be able to pay for your medical treatments. If you're so lucky to have family that can, help contribute. If not, a lot of times family members just don't understand it, what it is either.
Well, what you guys can do if you're sitting in there and you're watching this video, okay, what you can do is you get educated. That's the biggest thing. Get educated about Lyme disease, and we're going to give you a website here in a minute. But get educated yourself and educate others. Okay, participate in the community. If you hear something going on like this and you want to know, if you see something on the internet, look it up on the internet. Okay, find out something that might one day affect you and your family. My website, but your website is
the www.giveforward.com, Portlock Family with Lyme Disease, and you can just go to giveforward.com and just type in our last name, Portlock, and we share more of our story on the website, some of our treatment protocols, and just trying to get awareness out there to people because this is something I just have no understanding. I mean, we can, as people, walk around and ask someone or talk about it, and other people know about it, but you walk in the doctor's office and they look at you like you got 3 heads, so.
I've got some questions for you, Mickey. I know we've investigated through the internet with Daryl Hall of Hall and Oates.
Right.
We've talked back and forth with Jesse Ventura with the Lyme disease from Plum Island, all the information that comes off that. And what I'm starting to see is there's numbers and numbers of different websites that you can go to concerning Lyme disease.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, with your family, I know your family's been back and forth to the hospital, and this has been going on for about 3 or 4 years. But I got to ask you some questions, What do you believe the government has to do? I mean, you've been fighting this for a while. What do they got to do? And I'm going to repeat myself. As an American citizen, what's our government's responsibility to you?
Well, they should take notice of what's been going on from the get-go since Plum Island and make the IDSA change their guidelines to where anybody will be able to get coverage to cover this Lyme disease. The insurance companies will not accept it.
Okay, so we're back to the 1992, 82, the guidelines.
Right.
Where they said they haven't changed any of that. That's why they're having the marches in Boston and the marches in Washington, D.C. And that's why you see these actors and the big names getting involved.
Right.
Okay, what is, these hard people, I know you're hardworking people yourself. I mean, you got a beautiful home here, you've worked hard for it, you've worked hard all your life. I've known you since you were a kid. And you're losing it all because the government won't get off of their behinds and do what's straightened out.
Correct.
Okay? And that's what I'm getting. Are the insurance companies making any effort, or they just wash their hands of you?
They just wash their hands. The IDSA protocol from the commissioners of the IDSA won't change their guidelines because they think that 2 weeks of antibiotics is going to cure you, and that's not the case.
Jeremiah, I've got to ask you questions, okay? I mean, you've watched us do the films and I've interviewed back and forth. Now, you've been battling this for how long?
About 4 years.
About 4 years now. I mean, you're seeing what your parents have went through. What's your attitude? I mean, I knew when I was a kid, I had an attitude about everything.
Yes.
Okay, and I was going to change the world, all right? And maybe through this video that we're doing, we're going to change a lot because of the exposure that we have. This video is being broadcast at over 100,000 homes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, by the time I'm done, not even counting the YouTube, and hopefully we can get 500,000 hits to 1 million hits. That's what I want. But how's it affecting you? How's it affecting your schoolwork? Your personal life with your friends?
It affected me pretty personal because I don't get out like at all. I just don't really have the will. It heavily affects my schoolwork. Just affects me just being me.
Now you're on the medication now,
Yes.
and back and forth, so you're still exposed to the medical problems, the medical turndowns, basically.
Yeah, and the weird thing is if a dog gets Lyme disease, they'll treat it, well, what was it, like 4 weeks, and they'll cure it, but they won't do it on a human.
Mickey, let me ask you, and this is a big question, okay? What do they have to do? I mean, if you had to stand up there and you had the right now to tell these guys what to do, what would you tell them?
They need to change the guidelines of where normal people can get coverage.
Can they go to their congressman? Can they go to the insurance commission? Who do they go to?
We've tried contacting the congressman, Sandra did, and well, we haven't got a whole lot anywhere with it. But if you had AIDS, you could get coverage, but not Lyme disease.
Well, through the investigation that we did on the website and the whole bit, this basically, Lyme disease is spreading faster than AIDS.
Yes, it is.
And AIDS just got a, $2.5 billion grant, not even a month ago. I seen it advertised or promoted and everything.
Right.
But for the younger kids, children that are born with AIDS, I understand that. And I understand the grant money needed that. But can Lyme disease, can that happen with Lyme disease? Can a child be born into Lyme disease?
Yes. Yes, you can.
If you guys have any questions or feel that you want to make a comment, you can give us a call at, just email us at jpsmotherhen@gmail.com. And, we're taking contributions, okay? We need your help. Help us out. We've got a big benefit at Penny Any Subs at 2440 Minton Road in West by God, Melbourne. Okay, on the 31st of March. You guys come out. We're going to have a triathlon. There's going to be a lot of fun and games. But the biggest thing is the awareness. Sandra and Mickey and Jeremiah are all going to be there to answer your questions and the whole bit. But we need your help, okay? And Mickey, thanks a lot for having, according to Wayne, in your home.
Well, thank you for coming.
Plum Island sits outside of Connecticut, off the point of Long Island. Okay, and if you go up there and check it out, they've got a big lighthouse up there, and it looks basically inviting to tourists that want to check out Plum Island. You're not allowed on there, okay? It's a secret faculty, okay? The history of Plum Island began in World War II when, like I said, Eric Traub, a German biological warfare expert, joined the team. Our government teamed up with a biological weapon scientist from Germany, okay? Pre-war, post-war, okay? Basically, the Plum Island biological research ramped up with or without regard to collateral damage and what it's going to cause, even in our own country. Okay, under the Yankee magazine, under the Freedom Act of Information Act, revealed that Plum Island's work included virus outbreaks. Okay, biological meltdowns. Okay, infected workers, contaminated raw waste that was flushed into the Long Island Sound. Okay, the experimental tick colonies that were bred for research. Whether or not infected ticks were deliberately released into our communities, okay? We don't know, but there's pure speculation that most certainly engineered Victor ticks from Plum Island infected human population. Now, if you suffer unresolved like arthritis like symptoms, okay, basically your doctor's going to urge you to go down and get a flea vaccine, okay? You got to listen to this, okay? You've just heard about the family. You heard about what we talked with Plum Island, okay? The USDA and the IDSA, they need to change their guidelines on investigating Lyme disease and helping prevent Lyme disease, but also diagnosing it in our patients and to be able to treat them for the right treatment, okay? January 4th, Barbara Andrews, the editor-in-chief for the Dog Press. Lyme disease infections are uncommon in dogs, okay? But the pharmaceutical hype that came out about Lyme disease basically created a gold mine for this pharmaceutical company, okay? Before there had been a case of Lyme disease reported in the canines, basically, it was the idea of being a human being was dismissed, okay? Basically, and then they started finding out, investigating the purposes of Plum Island and what Plum Island, the biotech center, was doing, okay? Google Plum Island. Look up Jesse Ventura. Look up Daryl Hall of Hall and Oates. He suffers right now for the last 5 years on this, okay? Check him out. August 6, 2002 journal. A journal from Degenerative Diseases revealed that the Ward Department, the former Ward Department, research is known as Plum Island, currently an animal research lab, as the source of Lyme disease. Lyme disease contains a mycoplasma, which is the same found in the Gulf War illnesses, and we all know that they used chemical warfare in the Gulf War, okay? A university-based effort to discourage doctors from diagnosing and treatment for the chronic Lyme disease, okay? To thwart the insurance coverage for extended antibiotic therapy. And finally, the most Lyme epidemic area in the country had only a handful of doctors that would even treat the chronic Lyme disease patients. Yale University contends that it only takes 3 to 4 weeks of antibiotics to sufficiently treat this program. That needs to be updated, okay? It does. Regarding insurance costs, another report points out that the denial of long-term antibiotic treatment and or insurance coverage because patients who are refused antibiotics, they are told that they have some other kind of disease, whether it's a kidney, a liver, a heart, okay? They even tell some of them that they're crazy, okay? We need your help, you guys. You got to help uncover this because Lyme disease is spreading faster than AIDS right now. Okay, you can Google Plum Island. Like I said, Google Jesse Ventura. I mean, it's all out there. The information's out there. Even, like I said, Daryl Hall with Hall and Oates. We need your help, okay? On March 31st at 2440 Minton Road, Penny Ante Subs and Pub, we're going to do a triathlon out there. We're going to be helping raise money for the medical costs. They've already lost their house. They've lost everything that they've worked for, the Portlock family. Okay, so we're going to go out there. We're going to try to save some money. We need your help. You guys can send us a check, okay, of a donation as tax deductible to 2440 Minton Road, 2440 Minton Road in West Melbourne, 32904, okay, to Penny Ante Subs, and make your check out to the Portlock family, okay? We need your help. Come on out March 31st from 1 to 6. We're going to have the triathlon, and we're going to help these guys. This mysterious disease appeared in the 1970s, okay, in a small town out of Lyme, Connecticut, okay? In 1975, Alan Sturr became the first to diagnose, treat, and characterize Lyme disease after a mysterious outbreak of a juvenile arthritis in and around Lyme, Connecticut. That's where it started out. Okay. Since then, doctors have investigated, but doctors have also lost their licenses because of going over that line where our government and the IDSA and the USDA have basically curtailed their availability for research and basically stopped what was going on. Okay, they're not admitting that they're at fault at all. In 1998, Lyme disease became a laboratory reportable disease when a study determined the efficiency of the vaccine was initiated. They started out with a vaccine. The guys made a lot of money because they put it on animals like dogs, your pets, this and that. When you got it, basically they shut down the vaccine and now it's an antibiotic treatment that doctors are saying it only takes you 3 or 4 treatments, which it doesn't. It takes a lot more. Help us out. Come out to Penny Eddie Subs, 2440 Minton Road in West Melbourne, okay? Or you can make a contribution, okay? Send us a check. You can send it to Penny Eddie Subs and Pub. Make your check out to the Portlock family, okay? They need your help, okay? It's not to pay for what they've lost that. They've worked all their lives to get their home and everything. That's all gone. This is to help for the medical research and for their medicine, okay? Basically, they've run out of money. They need your help. You can go to the Portlock family / give forward Lyme disease on the internet and check them out. And like I said, go to investigate Plum Island, okay? But we need your help. You guys make your checks out to the Portlock family. Send them to 2440 Minton Road in West Melbourne, 32904. Okay, or you can give me a call if we want information, 321-216-0003. March 31st at Penny Eddie Subs and Pub, the triathlon to raise money for medical expenses for the Portlock family.